The evidence is all around us, in the newspapers, on the streets, in our schools, and even in our own neighborhoods. Is it time for Las Cruces to sit up and take notice and read the writing on the wall? I'm Gary Worth.
And I'm Rachel Schneider. Thank you for being with us tonight for this NewsView 22 special report on gangs in Las Cruces.
When shit happens, we unite. That's just the way we take it. You know, we've always took it like that.
You know, I have people coming up to me every other day asking me, well, don't you regret it? And yeah, I regret it, but I'm not ashamed of it.
Gang activity is on the rise in Las Cruces. New groups are moving in, older groups are gaining strength. Young people in schools are facing increased pressure from gangs, and we all feel the impact in another way through the rising crime rate. In this program, we ask a key question: is the writing on the wall?
During the next hour, we'll look into just how serious the problem is here in Las Cruces. We'll talk with police and school officials to keep you up to date. And later we'll meet some local gang members themselves and get a glimpse of their world. And finally, we'll talk with some people who are trying to deal with this growing problem.
Well, we like to think of Las Cruces as a small, friendly, and above all, safe community, free of big city problems and especially free of gangs. Sadly, that is not the case. Gangs are now making their mark on this community and in other cities in this region. What's happening out there? Let's take a look. It's a small town that's experiencing some growing pains.
Hey, Mom.
We have to realize we are going to start having some big city crime, and some of that big city crime is gang activity.
Pete Hampton has only been chief of police in Las Cruces for a few months, but he's lived here a lot longer, and he's watched with concern as the gang problem has grown in intensity. It really wasn't a problem a decade ago. In the 1950s and 60s, there were people in Las Cruces who formed groups, but Hampton says they were not involved in organized crime. It's a much different and more serious situation today. Police believe there are at least 17 gangs in Las Cruces. They claim as many as 650 members, and they are much more than social groups.
We haven't had too many incidents where people have been shot with firearms. We have had incidents where people have been accosted and assaulted with clubs and with fists, with knives occasionally. We have had a few drive-by shootings. But again,
in fact, the number of drive-by shootings has increased dramatically. In the past 6 months, police have noted as many as 50 incidents. But so far, there have been no gang-related deaths.
I feel something's coming along. I don't know what it is, but somebody's going to get hurt, you know. I mean, pretty bad. I mean, real bad.
But nobody wants to wait around for more serious violence to occur. That's why the police formed a small task force a few years ago to begin identifying gangs and the territories that they claim in the city. And it's why authorities and school officials like Rosalie Gallegos are working with gang members and with school kids who might end up in gangs.
Yeah, we have a problem, and I don't see it getting any better unless we get involved with the students and teach them how to say no to it. They can't say no once they're in. And so what we're trying to do is try and get them to stop the violence rather than getting them completely out of the gangs.
I think we are prime. We've got a high unemployment rate here. The average income is low here. There is a large problem here of dysfunctional families, of single parents, raising 5, 6 kids, this type of thing. So yeah, we are prime for that. We need to find some place for these kids to go.
It's a similar, though less serious situation in another small community northwest of Las Cruces. In Silver City, the graffiti tells the story. It's believed gang members are partly to blame, and it's got merchants worried.
There needs to be more parental supervision. and that they need to know where their students are or where their children are. Because we understand from the police department that a lot of these children that are doing the vandalism are young, from 10 up to about 14. And those children need to be home in the middle of the night instead of downtown Silver City, breaking windows and writing graffiti on the walls.
Business owners are requesting more foot patrols to stop the vandalism. Over the summer, an increased police presence seemed to pay off. Now, Silver City merchants are circulating a petition to bring back the patrols. They have already collected more than 200 signatures. Meanwhile, in Las Cruces, authorities are prepared to crack down on gang members who get involved in criminal activities. They are also trying to get a message across to the public, and that is, act now, before the gang problem gets out of hand.
If the gangs continue as they are, and if the gangs do revert to criminal activity more than what they are now, and if the market is there for, let's say, drugs, stolen property, burglaries, auto theft, and things of that nature, yes, I do have that fear. Some of those gangs may revert to that type of organized criminal activity, structured organized criminal activity.
And that's what we're afraid of right now, is that these real hardcore members from Los Angeles, from Colorado, from other states have heard of Las Cruces, and they have heard of Las Cruces, and they have heard of a lot of kids getting together, and they do want to come here, and they have been here trying to organize our kids. And it's not just going to be a neighborhood problem, because it is involving drugs, and they are making money with drugs, and they are teaching kids how to do that and how to make money. And these kids are going to be making, if we don't make changes, I see these kids making a lot of money. And that's going to help them organize and stay together. Because we've seen that. That's just the patterns in other towns and other cities.
Local officials don't want to see Las Cruces follow the usual pattern, and they say it doesn't have to, if the community is willing to work together to find solutions.
Kids walking around and sitting on the streets all night long with nothing to do. They sit there, they get high, they get stoned, they get drunk. It makes no difference to them.
It's fun. I don't know, I think it's fun. It's like you get to kick back with them. Like you always have a friend. You know, if anything ever happens, you can always depend on them or something.
Do you trust?
They stand tall and show little fear. Gang members appear as if nothing and no one can stand in their way. For the outsider looking in, gang involvement makes little or no sense. Just what is it that bonds gang members together, and why is it so difficult to break that bond? Well, so many of these young people are from broken homes. They don't have strong family backgrounds, but being part of a gang can fill that void. Violence and criminal behavior are supported, even encouraged. Sadly enough, it may be the only encouragement they get. Once they're initiated into the gang, they're then part of a close-knit family. And once a gang member makes a name for himself on the streets, the gang serves as a wall of protection. And a gang member standing alone is vulnerable, an open target for his enemies. Two reasons why it's so hard to break away from a gang. And leaving can have irreversible consequences.
You could get killed by your own members. It's like there's always an initiation, but there's no ex-initiation. You can better your life, but you can't just walk away from your turf and say, forget it, it never happened.
Carlos says he has no plans of leaving his gang, but one of these days, Carlos says he'll grow out of it.
I can't get out, so I'm affiliated with the higher gang, and you can always better your life. And, I have people coming up to me every other day asking me, well, don't you regret it? Yeah, I regret it, but I'm not ashamed of it, because I feel that, I can say that, maybe when I grow out of it, if I do, I can look back and say, yeah, I went through it. I might have had to learn the hard way, but I experienced it.
Meet Victor Munoz. Victor spent a great deal of his life involved with gangs. It was only recently that he decided to move on. Victor's decision was made in part by his parole officer. You see, at 21 years old, Victor has already spent 2 years of his life in a Roswell prison. He was released about 2 months ago. Being locked up for 2 years gave Victor time to think about his future and the future of his 2 children.
I have 2 kids to support and to look after. So right now, I say it's changed pretty much since I've gotten out about 2 months ago. I was with my friends all the time. It should be. If I was never in a gang, I probably would never got into trouble.
But Victor paints a different picture than Carlos on what it's like to break ties with the gang.
I know they'd understand and everything, so, because, you know, they're really good friends. So I just let them know that if they was gonna get out, it's gonna be it between us, and, you know, yeah, we'll still be friends, but.
Victor's mother says life has changed since he returned from prison. She hopes Victor's decision will somehow rub off on her 2 other sons, who are members of the same gang.
Yo los vi mucho en problemas.
They had a lot of problems. I tried to talk to them and give them advice. I felt really bad because they had friends I didn't like. But it was a learning experience for my 2 younger sons when Victor was in prison, because now they think differently. I'm already seeing the changes in my sons. They stopped hanging around with the friends I didn't like. They just went away. They have other friends now, not the ones that were coming around before.
But is a gang relationship one that carries on even after the decision to walk away? At least one person, someone who was heavily involved with gangs at one time, says the gang relationship is everlasting.
A lot of people say that, you know, we're not in gangs no more. We don't get involved with it no more. I call that bluff, you know, because once you're in for the rest of your life. I call it bluff of your homeboys not saying that you're not going to be involved in it no more, because you're involved with your homeboys. Your homeboys are your brothers, you see. And if something happens to your brother, then you're going to be there right with them.
Only the future knows what's in store for people like Carlos and Victor, but they both say they wouldn't encourage others, especially young children, to make their same mistakes.
If they have a gun, they shoot me, that's fine, shit. I ain't gonna, what should I shoot them for, man? You know, I ain't getting nothing out of it. If they kill me, shit.